Teams are on their way out. It's an historic night. Either the 61-year trophy drought ends for Atalanta, or Bayer Leverkusen move a giant step closer to completing an unbeaten season and landing a treble. Victory in Dublin will be the sweetest thing. Both these teams have the desire. Only one can win the Europa League final tonight. Will it be a beautiful day for Atalanta or Bayer Leverkusen? It's live on Talksport 2 with former England striker Dean Ashton alongside your commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and good evening to you. Welcome to the night that pits a side who still haven't found what they're looking for against a team that have proved to be even better than the real thing. There have been very few footballing stories that can rival this one. You could point to Leicester's Premier League title win, arguably the Greece or Denmark before them lifting the European Championships. But for a side to be on the brink of winning a domestic and European treble, and by going unbeaten, would be pretty extraordinary, even if it was one of the continent's big hitters. For it to be Bayer Leverkusen, who suffered 18 defeats in all competitions last season, and who'd never won the Bundesliga in their history, is bordering on the inconceivable. Yet here they are, 51 games in the fourth week of May, league title in the bag, and with a cup final against second division opposition to come, it is tonight that could make or break their place in history. But Atalanta are stiff opposition, thoroughly meriting their place in their first ever European final, having seen off Liverpool comfortably in the semis, and in the quarters, I beg your pardon, and breezed past Marseille in the semis, amidst the spring run of form that's also all but cemented Champions League football for next season. They're not in Dublin to make up the numbers. They drew fulsome praise from none less than Pep Guardiola after their recent win against Roma. Pep says they're capable of beating anyone they want. Well, we'll find out tonight. This is how they line up. Atalanta, Musso in goal, Jim City, Jan and Kolasinac, Zappacosta, Edison, Koopmeiners, Ruggieri, Ketelara and Lukman and Skamaka. Leverkusen have Kovac in goal, Tapsoba, Tar and Nkapie, Stanisic, Palacios, Xhaka and Grimaldo, and a diminutive front three, Frimpong, Wirtz and Adli, who are all 5'9" or shorter. But they know exactly what they're going to be facing in terms of Atalanta's press, and Xabi Alonso has set his side up that way to be able to deal with it, playing, we expect, with Wirtz as the false nine tonight.
And I think in terms of being able to press themselves athletically, I think Frimpong, Wirtz and Adli will give them that extra bit of energy in those forward areas, and it worked incredibly well against Roma for Xabi Alonso and his side. So difficult to call this one, I think, because of the way both teams set up, so similar in their formations. It's going to be those tiny little nuances in terms of tactically that is going to win out in this game, or a spot of magic.
So from that point of view, you're expecting that this actually has the potential to be a relatively low scoring game?
Not at all. No, I think both teams, in the way that they set up, they don't sit back, they don't just defend their box. They can do at times, but it's not how they're made. They're made to attack the opposition.
Well, there's much more than mere silverware on the line. It's make or break for Leverkusen's invincible treble. First European trophy in 36 years, a potential passport to history. But can Atalanta make history of their own in their first ever continental final? We are underway. Atalanta in their blue and black striped shirts. Leverkusen their change kit of all white. And Leverkusen defend at the end away to our left-hand side as we look at it. Early opportunity for Atalanta to be able to bring the ball forward with Zappacosta. Very few players featuring tonight who's got any real pedigree before this season in terms of going all the way in European trophies. But Zappacosta came off the bench late on in the 2019 final in which Chelsea beat Arsenal 5 years ago. Starting tonight. He's got the ball in his hands here as he prepares to take a throw for Atalanta, level with the edge of the Leverkusen penalty area. Arches the back, launches it in, easily headed away by Kolasinac. And he goes out of play for another throw, which will be taken again over on the Atalanta right. This one that's slightly closer to the corner flag. Taken short. Leverkusen doing well to win it back and then bring it forward down the left-hand touchline. Good covering from the Atalanta defender Kolasinac. Cross to be able to knock the ball away. And Leverkusen able to mop up in the midfield and get possession back again with Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, Adli there just showing that acceleration to get away from Hien Kolasinac did so well. He's so strong physically as well. Just to shrug Adli aside.
Tapsoba playing on the right of the three centre-halves for Leverkusen and working it back through to Nkapie. Granit Xhaka has it now. His foot on the ball in the midfield, rolling it to his left-hand side for Palacios. Palacios, seen by some as a defensive selection tonight, preferred to Robert Andrich in the heart of the midfield as Granit Xhaka's partner. And Leverkusen work it down the right side again for Frimpong. Something or nothing ball back through the midfield. Made it difficult for Leverkusen to bring under control. Atalanta winning it back, then giving it away just as quickly. Another ball chipped over the top by Grimaldo. And Ten Koopmeiners is back there covering the run of Palacios to be able to clear. And the ball goes out of play for a throw. 2.5 minutes gone, Atalanta 0. Bayer Leverkusen 0 in the Europa League final.
Yeah, one of the most exciting parts of Xabi Alonso's team is that the way they can press, but also the way they can play through a press themselves. That quality and the movement and the timing of the movement is so good to play through the middle.
Keita Lara, the young Belgian who's had a fantastic season after struggling at Milan. He's made a real impression up the road in Bergamo. And trying to make something happen down by the corner flag. Leverkusen with enough bodies back are going to be able to deal with the threat. Xhaka will work it away through the midfield. Wirtz dropping short, laying it off. Another opportunity for Xhaka to bring it forward. Stanisic showing for him, but just coming into a more central position from right wing back. Xhaka put under immediate pressure. Wirtz with a little cushion header. Ball teased over the top, and that's a strong challenge coming in from Jim City. Albanian international at the heart of the Atalanta defence. Just a little shove in the back of Adli, and a free kick goes Leverkusen's way.
Yeah, just skimmed off his head, but he wasn't in control of the challenge. Jim City, and again, just showing what Gasperini likes. Kolasinac going all the way out to Stanisic at right wing back, and then Jim City coming across from that right hand side of the defence across the left hand side to fill in.
So the first set piece opportunity goes by Leverkusen's way. We're 4 minutes in here on Talksport 2 at 0-0. That's a really disappointing delivery from Wirtz. Massively out of character that. He just tried to lever the ball towards the edge of the penalty area. Didn't get anything like the height that he wanted. Now he chases the next ball that is played in. And it's acrobatically punched away by Musso. Only as far as Frimpong. Frimpong controlling the ball on the right-hand side. Trying to find a way through. Ademola Lookman back defending. And Atalanta with enough bodies back to be able to deal with the threat. And the press was quite intense. Henderson ends up on the deck. Foul by Granit Xhaka. Helps him back up by way of apology. And it's going to be a free kick to Atalanta. 5 minutes gone. And 0-0.
Brilliant response from the Leverkusen players there from losing the ball. 3 or 4 of them all coming into a small area, and Granit Xhaka showing he's still got one of those tackles in him.
Long ball over the top, Lookman giving chase. So well judged by Kovac, who's had some right to here. Player signed from Manchester United back in August, had loan spells at Swindon and Burton Albion, and has started all 7 games in the knockout stages of the Europa League this season. 12th European appearance of the campaign. He's conceded less than a goal a game. There's been some transformation in his career after being a surplus to requirements at Old Trafford. Long ball over the top from the Atalanta back line, swept up but given away cheaply in the midfield by Tapsoba. Just a lazy ball through the midfield that was seized upon for a moment by Keita Lara. Now Nkapie has wrestled him to the ground because having initially won possession back and got between Keita Lara and the ball, we just found that he ended up second best, and the young Belgian ends up being wrestled to the ground, and a free kick to Atalanta here in a good position over towards the right hand corner flag.
Just a couple of bits of sloppy play, isn't it, from Bayer Leverkusen. And Keita Lara just being alert to the situation, winning that free kick, and they have got a height advantage. You can clearly see that when they're set up in the penalty area, Atalanta.
Yeah, Keita Lara relatively slightly built, but still quite tall. Scamacca, real bulldozer of a man. He stands near the edge of the 6-yard box, hoping that the delivery is good. It was a little bit too low and flat under the circumstances. Leverkusen are going to be able to bring it away. Wirtz has had a slightly nervy start of the game. A couple of misplaced passes from him. Granit Xhaka has rescued this one, and he's going to be able to bring it forward now down the Leverkusen left. 7 gone 0-0 here on Talksport 2. Ball given away cheaply again in the midfield by Leverkusen. And Ademola Lookman will be the beneficiary of that. Played in by Scamacca. Lookman just turning back inside, keeping his feet, keeping possession beautifully. Dropping it off towards the left-hand side. Ball in towards Scamacca. And didn't really get hold of it. Might have come off his shoulder in the end. He's claiming a corner. But it's gone out of play for a goal kick. Ruggieri it was with the first-time delivery. And Scamacca just couldn't get away from his marker. If anything, I think Nkapie, the defender, has headed it into Scamacca. And then it's bobbled away and gone out of play for ultimately a goal kick.
Yeah, lovely quick feet from Lookman to start with, and then Ruggieri on the overlap. First time ball in, brilliantly played, and Scamacca will be disappointed he wasn't ready for it. He was just behind Nkapie, but his strength alone just pushed Nkapie out of the way. I think he got the first header, it hit Nkapie, hit Scamacca again, and went behind, and he'll be annoyed at himself that he didn't anticipate that cross better.
Has been Atalanta's top scorer in the Europa League. With 6 goals, 5 of those coming in the knockout stages, including 2 at Anfield. And those 6 goals within an overall tally of 18. Far in excess of what he managed at West Ham in an ill-fated time in East London. 8 goals in 27 matches as a Hammer. Prior to his £25 million move. Tapsoba at the back, launching it forward again. And he's trying to get the lively Frimpong into play down the right-hand side. The assistant referee on the near touchline, part of an all-Romanian officiating team, signalling that there was an infringement. It's going to be a free kick to Atalanta going against Jeremy Frimpong. Boot just raised by Ruggieri. But it is an Atalanta free kick. What do you think Xabi Alonso's made of the opening 9 minutes, Dean Ashton?
I think he'll realise how physical Atalanta are as a team. A couple of times already his players have just been shrugged off the ball by the strength of the Italian side. But also that there's gaps there already. A couple of times now Florian Wirtz has been able to get on the half turn, and that's their big strength, is when they play into midfield, pop it back, and then it's through again. And the timing of Wirtz and Frimpong to get free in those areas is crucial.
Koopman is trying to bring the ball forward for Atalanta, but he didn't get too far. Leverkusen winning it back. Working it down towards Frimpong. Struggling to get the ball out from between his feet for a moment. And that moment of hesitation just allowed Kolasinac the opportunity to come back and make a clearance. With it out of play for a throw with 10 minutes in. Still 0-0. Atalanta coming into this on the back of 7 wins in 9. Leverkusen have won the last 2. Only 4 of the last 8. Only by their standards. But of course unbeaten in 51. And they've won 42 of those 51 games. It's just been a stellar season to die for. On the back foot here, not for long. Tapsoba doing well, just saw the run of Ruggieri coming past him. As he flicked it down towards Kolasinac, who was able to steer it out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Atalanta left by the aforementioned wing-back Ruggieri. 10 gone, 0-0 between Atalanta and Leverkusen.
Yeah, it's the second time now Kolasinac has just sprung out of that left-sided centre-back position to go and press.
Edison making his way forward, this time from the heart of the midfield. He overran it, goes out of play for a goal kick. Leverkusen unbeaten in this competition, of course. 9 wins, 3 draws. They would be the 4th Europa League winners to be unbeaten in the competition if they ultimately end up winning it. Atalanta losing just the once, which was a home defeat to Liverpool after that impressive 3-0 win at Anfield in the first leg. What will Atalanta be able to do from this their first corner? Scamacca has got himself isolated against Frimpong, which is a a little bit of a mismatch. In comes the delivery. Really good defensive header from the edge of the 6. Tees back into the fray with a looping header. Koopmeiners is going to be able to pick it up over on the right-hand side for Atalanta. Slips it in towards Zappacosta. Inside the penalty area. Low ball in. Lookman! 1-0 Atalanta. They deserve it. It's been an excellent start from Gasparini's men. And it's the Londoner that strikes first in Dublin. Early days, of course. But Bayer Leverkusen's magnificent record under threat. Ademola Lookman opening up the left foot, whacking it into the top left-hand corner. It's Atalanta 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
And they've started to overload those wide areas, Atalanta. And it's Zappacosta that gets free. Koopmeiners with a lovely pass into him. He takes his time. Zappacosta is bobbling across, and Palacio cannot see man and ball, and Lookman is alive to it, and he's just too quick. He gets in there, and it's a really cool finish, because you could easily try and slash at this, and he doesn't. He just gets a firm side foot. The goalkeeper can't get across, but Palacios was asleep. Lookman wasn't.
13th goal of the campaign. Scored against Sporting and Marseille in the knockout stages. And now scores in Dublin against Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen will certainly back themselves to be able to come back in this game. They've got an extraordinary record of scoring in matches. There's only been one of those 51 unbeaten games this season in which they failed to score. That was a match against Borussia Mönchengladbach. They do score a stack of late goals as well. So going down to a 12th minute opener, not a massive impediment, but perhaps symptomatic of a slightly slow start that they've made. There's been more intensity in the Atalanta press, and they're deserving the 1-0 advantage that Lookman has given them.
And how important it is to score when you're slightly on top. And they've won the ball back again here.
From Granit Xhaka, and Decade Lara has got Zappacosta making a run one side of it. He's pulled it back for Ederson in the midfield. Ederson then turns, goes back out to the right-hand side when the more natural pass would have been to his left. And then a free kick goes Leverkusen's way for a foul by the bearded Zappacosta just outside the penalty area. And a chance for Leverkusen to draw breath, get bodies back upfield and get out of harm's way. They trail 1-0.
Well, it is a risky way of playing. Of course it is for Xabi Alonso and his side, but they've shown the quality throughout the season to be able to play that way. Just a couple of loose passes, though, from his side. And the pressure again. Lucky.
Well, it looked as though that was telling pressure, didn't it, from Zappacosta?
That was very lucky, I felt. Zappacosta, brilliant there. Again, coming out of position from right wing back right into the middle of the pitch to press Florian Wirtz.
Maybe just a pull of the left arm of the young German. That's what István Kovács, the referee, saw. Giving Leverkusen the free kick on the edge of their own penalty area. They take it and look long. They're trying to release Adli down the left-hand side, but he was well dealt with by Isakien, the Swedish international centre-half. And the ball ends up in the hands of the goalkeeper, Juan Musso, who started every knockout tie in this run for Atalanta in the Europa League, but has only played one league game since December. Xhaka winning it back. Leverkusen getting it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. It's an overhead kick, will be able to get it away. Played back by Jonathan Tah. Then Ederson winning it back. Lookman, the goal scorer, feeding it down to the left for Ruggieri. Good ball forward from him down the outside left channel. Leverkusen coming to sweep up. Xabi Alonso gesticulating in his dark blue crew neck sweater. And a cold Dublin night, unseasonably cold. A raucous hot support from the Atalanta fans the way to the right-hand side as we look at these pictures. Atalanta leading by Leverkusen by a goal to nil. Their first ever European final, and it hasn't taken them long to strike. Kapsova getting the ball away. Stanisic, lovely little touch flicked on round the corner by Adli, who then ran straight into his nearest opponent and claimed the free kick. Play goes on. They've still got possession. Josip Stanisic is on loan from Bayern Munich. Bring the ball under control on the right-hand touchline. And working through the midfield for Palacios. Now Jonathan Tah to his left-hand side for Nkapie. And Grimaldo, who's seen very little of so far, such a potent weapon down that left-hand side for Leverkusen, receives the pass, but then works it swiftly back through the midfield again.
They've been like playground bullies, haven't they, at the moment, Atalanta? Again, they win it back. It's just physically, they're testing this Leverkusen side.
Well, that's how it's Decatur Lara, who read that the ball was going to go towards Nkapie, and he just got there first. Nkapie sticking out a leg, and Decatur Lara collided with it, wins the free kick. They've scored the first. At the moment, they look the more likely side to score the second goal as well. You're listening to Atalanta against Bayer Leverkusen. It's the Europa League final. It's live on Talksport 2 with Village Hotels. Visit villagehotels.com. Orobici working it all the way back towards the edge of their own penalty area from an advanced free kick, and then when it goes out quickly towards Lookman, he's used a little bit more than the full width of the pitch. Goes out of play for a throw that Stanisic takes, and he works it back for Tapsoba. Tapsoba to Tar, and onto Nkapie again. Those three at the heart of the Leverkusen defence have seen plenty of it. It's not the best ball out, but it has just been able to avoid Jim City. Now inside the centre circle, good quick feet from Stanisic will be able to get Bayer Leverkusen going again. Slowly warming to their task here. Tapsoba, good ball in from the right-hand side of the area from Frimpong. Then the referee takes evasive action because Wirtz completely missed his kick. Stanisic with a deflected effort, and it just loops up off Kolasinac and into the hands of goalkeeper Musso.
Yeah, first time we've seen Frimpong in full flow, and he's too quick for the Atalanta defence. And it's Rogério gets caught out 1v1. Frimpong is too quick down the side, pulled it back. Horrible attempt from Grimaldo. And then Stanisic with a decent attempt that just got blocked and took all the pace off it.
Now, Grimaldo's had such a fantastic season. 12 goals and 13 assists in the Bundesliga alone. He really has been an integral part of everything that Bayer Leverkusen have achieved. Tonight, making his 50th appearance for the club. And Atalanta doing well to win it back. Lookman peels away. Scamacca can play him in. Gets it out from underneath his feet. Back he goes for Scamacca. And a rising drive clears the bar.
Lovely play. First of all, it's Hien who steps in and is aggressive to win it and just pops it straight into Scamacca, who turns and feeds it to Lookman, who knew the shot wasn't on, so lent it back to his centre forward. Just lent back. Didn't look as comfortable on that left side as he does on that right, where he's so powerful with the strike. But once again, that aggression from Atalanta, winning the ball back.
And it was Hien that pushed forward to do that. When Leverkusen then were able to play through the press, all of a sudden, albeit about 50 yards from goal, it was 3 against 3 for a moment, with the 3 remaining Atalanta defenders, the centre-halves, all spread quite widely across the pitch. And 1 Leverkusen player on all of them, but the German side couldn't make it work for them on that occasion. But it is risk and reward, Gasparini's tactics, and boy, they've been rewarded for it so far with such intensity. And we see Hien push out from the defensive line and lead that press really of Leverkusen, pushing forward into midfield, and he's always there, and they're reading it, and half-decent passes are becoming poor passes very quickly from Leverkusen. But the problem is when they do it, if they then lose possession again quickly, they can leave themselves horribly exposed.
Yeah, they have to be more clinical, don't they, Leverkusen, with the way they pass through and that opportunity to pounce on those big gaps that will be left. But at the moment, they're not able to cope physically. I would say that's the biggest difference at the moment, is every loose pass is being won by an Atalanta player, because shoulder to shoulder they're a stronger side, and they've been more aggressive as well in the way they've approached the game.
Kolasinac clipping it forward. Lookman tried to take it on the chest, got the swiveled chest pass all wrong. Gasparini couldn't hide his dismay. It happened right in front of him, but then gives Ademola Lookman a generous round of encouraging applause as the ball goes out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Italians' left-hand side. Just a minute short of the midway stage of the first half. Atalanta leading, unbeaten by Leverkusen by 1-0. But they've had so many recent scares. They twice rescued their unbeaten record in stoppage time against Karabag earlier in this competition. They've also done it in the last month alone, in stoppage time. They've come from behind to get positive results at home to Dortmund, away at Stuttgart, and at home to Roma as well. A couple of 97th minute goals in there. So much time remains, but by and large, second best at the moment, even if they are warming to their task as the game goes on. They've got a free kick here. A couple of clumsy challenges coming in, and Jim City gets a yellow card for his. He's the first player to have his name taken tonight.
It felt like it was only a matter of time that you, as a team, can get away with just leaving the foot in on one or two challenges. Jim City doesn't need to in that area of the pitch when he has the protection behind him.
So he's in the book, his 8th yellow card of the season. And Bayer Leverkusen have a free kick, which is level with the right-hand edge of the penalty area, but it's a good 25 yards outside the box. And with the height advantage that Dean's been talking about in Atalanta's favour, it might be a relatively difficult situation to work here effectively for Leverkusen. No surprise then that they've gone short. Now they clip it in at a different angle, but it's sailed over the head of Wirtz on the right-hand side of the box and goes straight out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, tried to be clever and not just play that ball in for a fight in the air. Played it to Xhaka, and then it was Florian Wirtz who tried to sneak in round the back of the Atalanta defence, and the ball was just too firm from Granit Xhaka. But what that pressure does, that physical pressure does to you as a player, it means you know it's coming, you know it's there. It rushes that touch, it rushes the pass just a fraction, and that at times at this level, at this pace, can be the difference.
So what's going through Alonso's mind? What does he need to change, or is it just the fact that the a perfectly acceptable game plan hasn't been executed well enough so far?
Yeah, and it's acclimatising yourselves as players to that, and having that bravery to trust your touch, to trust the pass, to know that actually, yes, they can be physical, but we've got the quality to play through that.
Tapsoba's long ball forward, Kolasinac heads it away. Flick down the right-hand touchline again by Stanisic in his red boots. One back by Ruggieri into the feet of Lookman. Back it goes from him to Ederson.
Also, I don't want to do Atalanta a disservice, because with the ball, they've got terrific technical players, and they're looking to play through and into the Ketelara and Skamaka and Lookman. But it's just that physical edge is something you can visibly see.
Palacios in his yellow boots, who's caught ball watching for the goal, working it back, and then it's played forward through the midfield again. A statistic comes up that shows that Leverkusen have completed twice as many passes in this game so far, but the possession that Atalanta have had high up the pitch has been far more potent. Here's Ederson, the heart of the midfield. His left-hand side for Ruggieri. Jerry coming in off the left flank, goes back for Ademola Lookman again, who had spells at 4 different clubs in England, but it's at Atalanta where he's really shone. He has it again, left-hand side of the penalty area. A horrible little deflection looping up after Lookman's cross. And the goalkeeper had to come a long way to come and meet it. He did that. Mate Kovac got it just before it hit the ground, and now fires it forward. But as he does so, Adley, with a curious defensive header, has presented the ball straight back to Lookman. Right-footed effort! 2-0. Lookman on the double. And Leverkusen are in big bother now. Another mistake. Kovac getting the ball forward quickly. Adley with a really poor defensive header. Lookman seized upon it, had plenty to do. Got it onto his right foot, fired it into the bottom right-hand corner. And inside the opening half hour, Atalanta lead by Leverkusen, unbeaten all season, by 2-0.
Oh, wow. This is serious wing play from Ademola Lookman. It's a stunning finish at the end of it. But he just bypasses Xhaka like he's 91, not 31. Jinks past him, opens his body up, and the finish is so crisp into the corner that Kovac cannot get anywhere near it. That is stunning from Ademola Lookman.
Two goals in a 15-minute spell for the Wandsworth-born forward. And Atalanta lead Leverkusen 2-0. Coming back from 1-0 down is something they've done on plenty of occasions. They have, of course, over the course of this remarkable season, come back on occasion from 2-0 down as well. But in a European final against a side who've been so good, well, they've got their work cut out already.
Oh, they have. Full of confidence now, this Atalanta side. And I tell you what, it came from a mistake from Leverkusen. And it was Adli. The ball went up to him. He thought, like most of the game, he was going to get a big shove in the back from Hien, who didn't, who just stood off him. And actually, Adli went to head it back and misplaced it, past Verts and into the feet of Lookman, and then he did the rest.
There have been two previous meetings between these two sides, both a couple of years ago, and it's a different Leverkusen team now, a different mentality to that one. So much more success, of course, but Atalanta won both of those games, home and away. Leverkusen in their history got a pretty lousy record against Italian opposition. Well, they now find themselves in this game with a little over an hour remaining, needing to score two to take it to extra time. Lookman twice. And Atalanta lead by Leverkusen by 2-0. And Leverkusen just haven't been able to work Musso in the Atalanta goal at all.
No. I'm sure Xabi Alonso will be thinking of the selection that he made. You know, he has got more physicality, sat there on his substitutes bench in Schick and Boniface. But he went with the starting front three, who, let's face it, have been absolutely bullied so far.
Now an opportunity for Xhaka. It was a left-footed effort which was going to go way wide. In the end, it didn't make the edge of the penalty area. It was blocked by Kolasinac, Xhaka's former Arsenal teammate. Ricochets back through the Leverkusen midfield. They can work it neatly. Next phase of play, Frimpong with a good ball in. He ended really well, stretched out that long left leg and was able to get it away. It's then a coming together between Kolasinac and Adli, who's claiming that he was fouled, and I'm sure that the VAR, Paul van Berkel, the Dutchman, will be having a quick look at it, see if it's worthy of a penalty or not. There's a big claim, if anything, might be a free kick the other way.
Possibly. I think Adli's just tried his best just to get his body in the way and force his leg between Kolasinac and the ball. But Frimpong, excellent play, lovely little roll away from Ruggieri.
Xabi Alonso speaking to Sebastian Pereira, his coach and right-hand man, and he's very animated. Got so far over the course of this season. Whatever happens tonight, it will always go down as an extraordinary season. To win the Bundesliga title, their first in their 120-year history, to do so by 17 points without losing a game. The achievements that can never be taken away from them. And it is a side that will go down not just in Leverkusen history, but in Bundesliga immortality. But if they were to lose this and not improve over the course of the next hour, it would feel like a real damp squib with so much that they could potentially win. Remember, they take on Kaiserslautern, a second division side, in the DFB Pokal final in Berlin at the weekend. That one is seen as a complete formality. They were odds on to win this, but they have been second best. And Atalanta have this 2-goal advantage. Kedelara chasing now, and Capier's got it away from him. But Kedelara will go out towards the touchline, keep it in, work it back for Kurt Miners. Chipped over the top, Zappacosta making the run, taking it down. Skamaka just didn't sit up for him. Tapsoba got it away just as he was shaping to shoot with an acrobatic right-footed volley. Leverkusen try and work it forward quickly, but Kolasinac mops up well. He's had a really good start of the game. And now Ruggieri plays it forward towards Lookman, who's on a hat-trick. And no player has ever scored a hat-trick in a UEFA or Europa League one-off game. Skamaka trying his luck from the edge of the penalty area. And it's a comfortable save.
But again, it was Lookman on the half-turn. Leverkusen defenders stepping away from him now. Played it in towards Skamaka, who, like most greedy forwards, wanted his shot at glory from distance. But again, just showing a bit of the confidence. Again from Atalanta. But Zappacosta against Grimaldo's interesting. Grimaldo's such a wonderful player going forwards, but being really tested defensively. He's only 5'7". Zappacosta, they're just playing that pass high into that far side. Zappacosta's winning the headers and trying to physically impose himself on him.
And he's got to the byline here. Zappacosta playing it in towards Lookman, who's not likely to win too much in the air, particularly up against Stanisic, who is probably a good 4 inches taller than him. And Lookman with this opportunity. No player in a one-off final in this competition has ever scored a hat-trick. Jupp Heynckes got one for Borussia Mönchengladbach in their first leg win against FC Twente back nearly 50 years ago. But Lookman would have his own indelible part in European history if he scores again. He's got 2 in the opening 26 minutes tonight. We've now played 33 with Talksport 2. Jim Proudfoot and Dean Ashton talking through the action. Game being played at the Aviva in Dublin. And Atalanta lead it against the odds by 2-0.
You know, when you just look at a player and you can sense how sharp they are, Lookman just looks sharper than anyone else. You know, as if he's got that extra turn of pace, that his touch is better than everybody's. And that's why he's made such a good start, and they are stepping off him. I think he's certainly scared them with that second goal.
Well, he scored more goals this season than ever before, 14 in total now. And Atalanta have a free kick for a foul on Koopmeiners in the heart of the midfield. There's plenty of frustration amongst those in all white. Leverkusen in their change kit tonight. The advantage initially played because Frimpong had gone down. It looked as though he'd been fouled. The referee did acknowledge that. Leverkusen still had possession, but 3 or 4 seconds later there was a foul by one of theirs in the midfield, and the referee gave the free kick Atalanta's way, and the Leverkusen supporters couldn't stop themselves from voicing their disapproval. Poor clearance, Palacios can't pick it up. A man at fault for the first goal. He's won it back in the midfield though from Nikeda Lara. Work forward by Grimaldo. Still yet to really get into the game. This is a better opportunity. As it came to Grimaldo, he had the opportunity to try and lob the on-rushing Musso and didn't get it right, and he just basically lobbed it straight into his solar plexus rather than clearing him and putting it into the unguarded net.
Oh,
that's a poor challenge in the midfield. Skamaka is the man that has been brought down, and Wirtz gets a yellow card.
Wirtz gets a yellow card for, I think, probably asking for a red card for Skamaka. Skamaka with a heavy touch goes diving in. Yellow card straight away from the referee, but it's just whether he went over the top. Skamaka and Grimaldo, what an opportunity it was for him. An absolute gift, actually, because Musso came rushing out of his goal. All it meant was that he had to just lift it over the top of him, and they'd have pulled a goal back. Instead, he just hit it straight into his chest. Lovely play, though, to get him free. Him as the third man running, popped into midfield, flicked over the top. Just a little sign of what he's capable of.
And a little reminder for Atalanta that nothing is won yet. There's another nervy moment at the back, though, for Leverkusen. Tapsoba controlling the ball and then taking his eye off it. He was more concerned about where it was going to go next. Very nearly ran away from it. Jens done a fantastic job, as Dean has illustrated. Just stepping out from the back line, winning the ball in midfield. There's another example of that just then. Stanisic has it now. Leverkusen 2 down. Wirtz getting it forward towards Frimpong, who's pushed in the back by Kolasinac.
It's just classic, though, that. In terms of giving a free kick away, you're not going to get a yellow card, but just completely stopping the momentum.
And as you say, putting thoughts in the opposition players' minds. It's going to happen every time.
Exactly.
Granit Xhaka. 9 to go to half-time. Good ball chipped over the top, and the goalkeeper came out. It just took a little bit of a spiteful bounce and rolled away from Wirtz as Xhaka clipped it over the top. Wirtz hoping he'd be able to bring it under control. Once it had dropped over his shoulder, he couldn't stretch far enough to be able to get his right foot to it. And it was immediately in the hands of the goalkeeper.
It was such a beautiful pass, though, wasn't it, from Xhaka? Just stood still in midfield with his head up, foot on the ball, waiting, and then just put his foot underneath the ball, lifted it over the top gently for Wirtz, who needed to take a touch. As soon as it hit the surface, it skipped away.
Another free kick goes Leverkusen's way. Zappacosta committing another one of those fouls where you know you're not going to get booked. A good one to give away, just disrupting the flow. Played for by Stanisic. And here's Frimpong running inside the penalty area. And as he won a corner, he has. It's Leverkusen's first of the night. Kolasinac followed him every step of the way, but he was strong enough, Frimpong, and wins the corner.
Yeah, there's a reason why Frimpong and Grimaldo have been lauded so much, because they're such a threat. Frimpong in particular, I think he's been the best player this evening so far. Really sharp, great turn of pace, but good touch too.
It's an away swinging delivery which is easily cleared at the near post by Ederson. Goes all the way back for Frimpong. Now a high right-footed ball inside the penalty area. Kolasinac beaten to it by Tar, but the ball came off the top of the head of the Leverkusen captain. Ultimately put out a play by Ruggieri for a throw that will be taken by Bayer Leverkusen on their right-hand side. Midway inside the Atalanta half. Xhaka, after Palacios had done well to retain possession. Ederson slides in, and he's done well to win it back. And Takeda Lara will bring it forward. Lookman making his way on the left-hand side. Scamacca showing for him in towards the edge of the penalty area. Scamacca trying to hoik it back onto his left foot for a shot, but Xhaka was there on his toes. And it's easily cleared by Leverkusen again down the left-hand side. But when they do break in situations like that, Atalanta, they can look very potent.
Yeah, he was just slightly isolated, Scamacca, and felt like he needed to do it on his own. Tried the Cruyff turn, got it wrong, and was crowded out by Xhaka.
Leverkusen on the edge of their own penalty area. It was another hurried, anxious ball from Tapsoba. Distribution from the back has been uncharacteristically poor. Lookman winning it back for Atalanta on the left-hand touchline. 3 men in white all around him, and between them they won possession back. Xhaka working it forward early. The idea was right. Frimpong has got plenty of pace, but couldn't get on the end of that. Frimpong, a former Manchester City trainee who made more than 50 appearances for Celtic, now a Dutch international. 14 goals to his name this season for a wing-back. Has played further forward on occasions, of course, but nevertheless, he and Grimaldo, with 26 goals between them, having played the majority of their games at wing-back, it's an outstanding return. And Grimaldo will feel that he should have added to his part of it tonight. He's missed Leverkusen's best chance. 5 minutes from half-time. Xabi Alonso's side, who've swept all before them this season, are 2-0 down.
And what they usually do, because they're so good, those two players, and they can play so high and wide, is teams then overcompensate and usually leave that space in the middle for this Leverkusen side to play their way through and get it into Wirtz and the likes, but it's not worked. It's when it's gone into that middle area, Atalanta have been really good.
Well, Xabi Alonso, I'm sure, will be going through his mind that he might need to change the personnel. We talked earlier about the fact that he made a stack of changes for this game. Often does, and very hard manager to read his team selection. Although, to give them credit, those in the German media, I think, have this pretty much spot on. There was a sense that maybe you play Andrić in the heart of the midfield rather than Palacios, but I think the other 10 positions, they were expected to be filled this way. So he's got the likes of Schick that he can bring on, and Boniface as well, the lively Nathan Tella, the former Southampton and Burnley player, amongst those on the bench. And they halved the deficit before half-time. They got the ball again now. Frimpong making his way to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Rolling it back for Grimaldo. Grimaldo going outside Zappacosta. Checks. Works it back for Frimpong again. And Frimpong just ran straight at Takeda Lara. The ball squirms away. Atalanta whack it upfield. Tar mops up. Gets there ahead of Scamacca. Plays it back for his goalkeeper. And Leverkusen will build from the back again. Possession in their favour. It's been 57-43 in this first half. Shots on target, 3-2 to Atalanta, and significantly, 2 of Atalanta's 3 have gone in.
They're just starting to get a little bit of joy, though, Leverkusen, in terms of waiting for one of those players to come out of their position defensively and then spotting the space.
A little bit more space to work with here, but an overhit pass stopped it being the case. Atalanta get it forward again. Scamacca picking it up in his white boots and scooping it with the outside of his right boot out towards the right hand side for Decay Delara. Some past that, Zappacosta on the overlap. Decay Delara goes alone and was almost able to squeeze it in the gap past Kovac at the near post. He dived to his left and made the save. Kovac then bowls it out quickly, and Koopmeiners is judged to have fouled his man, and a free kick goes Leverkusen's way inside their own half. But Decay Delara not too far away from the third goal.
No, it was clever, wasn't it? First of all, by Scamacca, brilliant ball with the outside of his right foot to Decay Delara. And then what he's done is he's used Zappacosta's run to dip inside onto his left foot, and instead of going for the far corner, just tried to whip it near post.
Leverkusen breaking quickly. Only Frimpong to try and hit with a left-footed cross. That was easily claimed by Musso, diving on the edge of his 6-yard box to make the save. Atalanta, in the first half that has gone past at breakneck speed, not too much in the way of stoppages. They're 2 minutes away from having a 2-goal half-time lead. First ever European final. They didn't even qualify for Europe last season. Beat Leverkusen the campaign before that on their way to the quarterfinals of this competition, where they were second best against RB Leipzig. Reached a Cup Winners' Cup semi-final back in the 1980s, a UEFA Cup quarter-final in the 1990s, Champions League quarter-final in 2020, but that is pretty much it in terms of their entire continental CV. This will be the greatest night in the club's history by a street. And they lead in Dublin by 2-0 with 90 seconds to go to half-time after Adamola's double on 12 and 26 minutes here on Talksport 2.
Yeah, he's been the difference, Lookman. First goal was about being alive in the penalty area and just getting in front of a dozing Palacios. The second was just brilliant. Classic wing play. Little nutmeg of Granit Xhaka, and then whipping it into that far bottom corner. It's a great goal in any time, let alone a final.
Chance for Leverkusen to play their way out from the back one last time before half-time. Xhaka playing it out to his left-hand side, and Capier, never needing a second invitation to make his way forward, feeds Grimaldo. Alejandro Grimaldo continues his run, but the ball that was skewered by Granit Xhaka down the inside left channel was overhit, and it goes straight through for Musa. Wirtz is a player that everyone was raving about before the game, and rightly so. Really hasn't had the opportunity tonight, hasn't looked at his best when he has had the ball at his feet.
No, and they've targeted those forward players when it's gone into their feet. They've been ultra aggressive, made sure they haven't been able to turn. And actually they've been loose a couple of times, the front three. And that's the issue. If you're going to exploit the space that's being left by a defender that's vacating, then that ball's got to stick.
A couple of minutes of added time at the end of this first period, and we're in them now. Leverkusen bring it forward. Grimaldo didn't run it out of play. It looked as though he might have done. That was the claim. Atalanta clear, out towards Wirtz. Left-footed ball in from Xhaka and goes wide. Very much in finals time here on the Talksport network. Plenty of them coming your way. It's the Conference League final this time next week here on Talksport 2. Before that, small matter of a Wembley double bill this weekend over on Talksport. The FA Cup final, as Manchester City look to seal the double against Manchester United Saturday afternoon. Live on Talksport. Then on Sunday, will it be Leeds, will it be Southampton who make it up with Leicester and Ipswich into the Premier League for next season? The Championship playoff final live on Talksport this Sunday. Adamola Lookman with a layoff. Ball just kept in by Ruggieri. Kolasinac just made sure that he got there. He knew he wasn't going to be able to keep it in. The ball has gone out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Leverkusen right-hand side. Just seeing out time, really, with Stanisic delaying taking this throw. And they're hitting a crossfield ball, and a good crossfield ball at that. Grimaldo, unlucky. Don't think he quite read it quickly enough. He acknowledges the intent of the pass, but it's gone out of play. It's a throw that will be taken by Atalanta. It's going to be 2-0 at half-time.
Well, they've had it so often their own way, Leverkusen. This is a real test in a final, a big final at that, for Xabi Alonso's team to overcome. And Atalanta certainly haven't froze in this final, as they may have done against Juventus.
Well, the 2 minutes of stoppage time have fully elapsed. And the referee, having given a free kick to Atalanta, says that there is no time to take it. What an impact Ademola Lookman has had. Bayer Leverkusen haven't been beaten in any game for 361 days. That run might end in about an hour's time. Lookman has scored twice, and Leverkusen, looking for their first European trophy in 36 years, are 2-0 down at half-time.
They are. A kid from Wandsworth who went to school in Peckham, was a straight-A student before becoming a professional footballer at Charlton Athletic, has stolen the show in the first half of the Europa League final. Ademola Lookman with both goals. And Dean Ashton, let's talk about the two goals. First of all, a brilliant finish, but Bayer Leverkusen's Palacios sleeping to allow Ademola Lookman in.
It happens too often, Aid, even at the top level, is that second phase. You know, players are switched on for the set play, but then once it goes back out, so often players just forget where they are, forget to check the player that they're up against, and Palacios had no idea whatsoever that Lookman was there, and he was super sharp, as he had been right from the start of the game, Lookman, and all he had to do was make sure that he got a good firm side foot on it, and they had the lead.
And that second one, it's a terrific finish, but if you look at the build-up to it, you talked about the Adli header. It's a terrible header. It goes straight to Lookman. He nutmegs Granit Xhaka. I mean, this guy, Lookman, he just doesn't care who the opposition are, then buries the finish. All starts from another Leverkusen error, but take nothing away from Lookman.
No, not at all. I mean, that error is simply because Adli is expecting a whack in the back from Hien, who had done that 3 or 4 times, and he just wasn't there. So he's gone to rush the header, and he's missed Wirtz, and it's gone straight to Lookman. And then after that, I mean, Xhaka will not want to watch that back. That was just incredible from Lookman to nutmeg him on the edge of the area. And then the finish, Aid, was just so crisp from Lookman. That's because he's got the confidence from the first goal. He hasn't even hesitated. It's just out of his feet, zip, straight into the bottom corner. It was brilliant.
As he was coming off the field, he kind of wiped his face with his hands. Ademola Lookman looked up at the big screen, and I just wonder, you tell me what he would be feeling inside, Dean Ashton.
I mean, he'll feel like he can do anything. Honestly, that feeling, you can't replace it. It's quite remarkable when you do something like that on a football pitch in front of millions of people. He'll think that he can go and get another 2, another 3, another 4. You know, he'll feel that good. And he knows he's got the beating now. And you could sense it in the way that they were starting to defend against him, Leverkusen. They weren't tight to him. They were sitting off, because that's what, when you see your teammate get done in the way that Xhaka's been done, you don't want that yourself. So he's certainly frightened them.
Dean, for the time being, thanks very much. Quick one, Kev Hatchard on Bayer Leverkusen. Grimaldo had a chance and didn't finish it well, goes straight into the chest of Musso, the keeper, but they have not been themselves. They've not looked good, Bayer Leverkusen.
No, they've been smashed out of their rhythm. And this is Atalanta at their best, because what they are is very aggressive without the ball. We talked about that before the match, how they are willing to rough teams up. They're willing to knock them out of their rhythm. At no stage could Leverkusen establish the kind of dominance we're used to seeing from them. And in attack, we're seeing their best as well. How often have we seen Gasparini's teams get the wing-backs into dangerous positions? That's what happens with Zappacosta when he bursts into the box. Lovely cross to find Lookman for the first goal. And Dean's absolutely right. It's that aggression that leads to the error from Adley, because if you know that you're going to get a calling card every time the ball's anywhere near you, it does put that seed of doubt into your mind. So I think Leverkusen need to move the ball far more quickly. They haven't found that rhythm at all. They haven't moved Atalanta around enough. I think that'll be the message from Xabi Alonso at half-time. And I just wonder whether he might change the dynamic by bringing on somebody like Patrick Schick or Victor Boniface, a much bigger focal point in attack that can cause the likes of Hien and Jim City a bit more of a problem physically, because at the moment, that much smaller front three, they're not laying a glove on Atalanta.
Yeah, it's a mismatch at this moment in time. Atalanta leading by Leverkusen 2-0 in the Europa League final here on Talksport 2, and the former Fulham and Everton man Ademola Lookman is on a hat-trick.
Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Village Hotels. With 33 locations across the UK, Village Hotels have everything under one roof for a great breakaway.
If you own a timeshare, you may have been missold and could be owed substantial compensation. Text timeshare to 78900 to find out more.
Want fitted bedroom furniture without the fitted furniture price tag?
Absolutely.
Want it made to measure, not the standard sizes?
Totally.
Want to buy directly, meaning you could save hugely?
Certainly.
Got the knack for DIY self-assembly?
Yes, definitely.
Are you a tradie who wants to fit furniture quickly and easily?
Obviously.
For made-to-measure fitted bedroom furniture, fully installed or DIY self-assembly with surprisingly big savings, visit fittingly.co.uk. It's totally fittingly yours.
McDonald's new mix and match menu. Choose any three for just £3. Like a cheeseburger, fries and a McFlurry. Or a mayo chicken, McNuggets and a McFlurry. Or a McFlurry and a McFlurry and a McFlurry. To share, obviously, the mix and match menu. Any three for £3. From 11 a.m. Selected items only. Delivery uplift and fees apply. Subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
G'day.
Brad, it's Dan. I've just heard Foster's is launching a new shandy.
Yeah, it's Foster's Proper Shandy, a refreshing combination of the amber nectar and lemony deliciousness.
Oh, there's nothing more Aussie than a proper combo, like the mullet. City out front, out back, out back.
Or the kangaroo, basically a deer mixed with a rabbit.
What about the meat pie? The sustenance of protein meets the temperature of molten lava.
New Foster's Proper Shandy. Give it a burl.
Please drink Foster's responsibly.
For more information, visit drinkaware.co.uk.
How much?
Are you kidding?
You couldn't find that down the back of the sofa.
I'm Helen Davis, editor of the Sunday Times Rich List. Find out who's dropped places, who's built on their wealth, and which superstars have made their fortunes early on in the 40 under 40 list. The 2024 Rich List is now available online. Visit thetimes.co.uk/Rich List.
Sharp shooting radio.
Too easy.
This is Talksport 2. Sunday afternoon, the Championship Playoff Final live on Talksport.
High intensity, expressive football.
Have we got something special for you?
Leeds United versus Southampton.
Coverage from 1:30, kick-off 3 p.m.
Sunday afternoon
on Talksport.
It's a sensational goal!
Football, we're now taken out. This Saturday afternoon from 1.
Have it! As Talksport lace up the boots to bring you a proper belter of an FA Cup showdown.
Absolutely brilliant.
It's our kid versus our kid. City versus United.
In the FA Cup final, live from Wembley Stadium.
Get all the buzzing build-up from 1. With thrilling, mad-footing kick-by-kick commentary from 3.
Brilliantly done! Fantastic goal!
Then after the final whistle, don't get your kicks in a twist. Have your say on the full-time phone-in.
I just don't think anybody else has got a chance.
The FA Cup final, Manchester City versus Manchester United.
Saturday afternoon from 1 on Talksport.
And they've done it!
Sorted.
It's the reason Marconi invented radio and God gave you ears.
And he scored, it's a brilliant goal!
The UEFA Europa League final
Live on Talksport 2.
And it's 2-0 to Atalanta against Bayer Leverkusen. We're expecting changes. We'll find out what those changes are when the second half gets underway live here on Talksport 2. Kevin Hatchard, European expert, is with us. This time next week, it's the Europa Conference League final in Olympiacos taking on Fiorentina. Fiorentina again, who probably should have won it last year in Prague, and will feel they've got a great chance to win it this year as well.
Yeah, and Vincenzo Italiano, their coach, has talked about the bitterness they felt after losing to West Ham in that Europa Conference League final, and they want to use that as fuel. The other thing to remember is it wasn't just the Conference League final they lost last season. They lost the Coppa Italia final as well to Inter. So they've been an incredible cup team under Italiano, who's being linked very strongly with a move to Napoli in the summer. So it might be him getting towards the end of his time there. There's another emotional element with them as well, because they lost their general manager, Joe Barone, to a heart attack earlier this season. And it's only a few years since they lost their captain, Davide Astori, as well. So, you know, it would be such an emotional moment, I think, for so many reasons if they were to win it. But then Olympiacos have their own reasons. You know, if you think what a massive football club that is, how many titles they've won domestically, they've never won a European trophy. So this would be absolutely enormous for them and for Greek football. There's never been a Greek team that's won a major European trophy. And the way they've done it, they've been written off. They've had ties that you thought they were out of. I fell into the trap of thinking that Aston Villa would be too strong in that semi-final, but they absolutely made the most of the chances they had over the two legs. They were very, very physical, very, very strong. I think it's a really fascinating final.
Yeah, I'm going to say Fiorentina will feel confident they can get the job done this time. That's no disrespect to Olympiacos. It's just that having lost it, they will be fired up so much this time. We mustn't underestimate Olympiacos.
No, they are the favourites. I mean, you're right. There's no doubt that Fiorentina, having been, you know, their top 8 in Serie A, they've got some really, really good players, and Olympiacos are the outsiders. I mean, Olympiacos finished third in the Greek Super League. You know, they're behind AEK Athens, they were behind PAOK, who won the title. So this was a team that wasn't expected to do this. But it's really interesting because Jose Luis Mendilibar, who is their coach, he came into Sevilla last season and won the Europa League. And he'd always been a relegation firefighter. He was never seen as a guy that would win the big prizes or compete at that level. But the one thing he really knows how to do is set up a team. And he's shown he can do that for Olympiacos. He actually jokingly thanked Sevilla for sacking him earlier this season, because he said if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to take on this adventure. So he's done an amazing job. Ayoub El Kaabi is a great story as well, the striker, because he scored 5 of their 6 goals against Villa over the two legs. He's got 33 goals in all competitions this season. I mean, he was playing for Hatayspor in Turkey before this. Hasn't got a big track record in terms of European football, has elsewhere. But he's been absolutely amazing. 10 goals in competition.
It is a great story, and that should be a great final. 7:45 our coverage gets underway next Wednesday night. Kickoff at 8 in Athens for that one. And I suppose you could say they got a bit of a home advantage as well, haven't they, Olympiacos, maybe?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really fascinating about this as well is you think about the backdrop, because earlier this season, all of the talk about Greek football was negative. It was all about fan incidents. It was all about, police who'd been injured with flares. It was all about stadiums that were shut. You know, there was a ban on fans in the Greek Super League for a while. There was a ban on games for a while because they were just trying to get a handle on that violence. So actually, this run has completely turned around that perception of Greek football. And now you might have a team that wins a major European trophy in Greece for the first time ever.
That would be some turnaround. And if we throw even further ahead, a week on Saturday, I'll be at Wembley for the Champions League final, Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. I think a lot of people are looking at this saying, this is a no-brainer. Real Madrid are going to win another Champions League. Can you make a case for Borussia Dortmund?
You can, because they've defied expectation all the way through. If you look at the group stage, they had Paris, they had Milan, they had Newcastle, and a lot of people were saying, well, they might not get through that. That's the group of death. Won it. And you look at various stages in the knockout phase. Against Paris, they found a way. They rode their luck. Paris hit the frame of the goal 6 times over the two legs, but they found a way. And when you've got a team with quality, with belief, that can do what Real Madrid do to so many other teams, maybe Real Madrid will get Real Madrided, because we know that they are the favourites, no doubt about it. But you have lots of experience, lots of quality. It only has to all come together for 90 minutes. And if you look at Real's run, Were they the better team against Manchester City over 2 legs? No. Were they against Bayern? No. Were they against Leipzig? Absolutely not. If Lois Openda had shown the finishing quality that he has for most of the season for RB Leipzig, we wouldn't even be talking about Real Madrid at this stage of the competition. So it's absolutely possible. Yes, Real Madrid are favourites. Yes, they've got the star quality. Dortmund are in with a shot.
Can you imagine Sancho having an amazing Champions League final?
I can.
And then not going to the Euros.
Yeah, but in a weird way, it kind of makes sense. And the reason I say that is Jadon didn't play for months. We know that. And he's come to Dortmund. Edin Terzic has put his arm around him. He's played with a smile on his face, but Dortmund have been really careful with him. They haven't overloaded him, haven't chucked him into a load of games, been super careful with him, and it's worked out.
It has. Will it work out for Atalanta? They lead Bayer Leverkusen by 2-0, second half. About to get underway in Dublin. It's live on Talksport 2, your commentary team of former England striker Dean Ashton, alongside Jim Proudfoot.
And Dean and I speculating about how many changes that Xabi Alonso would make at half-time. I think probably the general consensus between the pair of us was that it would be 2. It is none, but Atalanta have made one. Kolasinac has come back out for the second half, but he's got a gashed knee, so he came back out onto the pitch and then has come back off again, and Scalvini is on to replace him as a half-time substitute. So Atalanta leading Leverkusen by 2-0 here on Talksport 2. The former England international striker Dean Ashton is with me. Dean, I'm amazed that Xabi Alonso hasn't mixed it up, and you made the point to me at half-time off-air that the side that he's got on the field at the moment cannot win this game.
I don't think so. I just think physically they have been overawed by this Atalanta side. The pressing has been outstanding from Atalanta, and personally just felt like it needed a big change. He hasn't. He's given them the faith to go out there and get back into the game. And that's why he's there to make the big calls. Kolasinac, I think, came out probably and said, I want to carry on, but came out, took probably 3 or 4 steps and thought, actually, yeah, I'm not right.
So Scalvini has come on, and he's playing in the heart of midfield, and he's been involved straight away. A couple of challenges, 1 neat turn. He's only 20, but he's already got 8 international caps to his credit and nearly 100 games for Atalanta. He's just in there with another well-timed sliding challenge before Ederson, alongside him in the heart of the midfield, gives a free kick away. Granit Xhaka, the player that was caught. Xhaka's worst moment of the night, though. Nutmeg for Lookman's second goal. Xhaka has it again. That plays it back towards the heart of the defence. Tar across the Tapsoba. His ball forward through the midfield. Picked up by Leverkusen, chipped over the top, and Scalvini just drops back in and makes sure that there's no chance of any of the Leverkusen players getting a run towards that. Leverkusen, their change kit tonight of all white, and Atalanta in their familiar blue with thin black stripes on the front of the shirt. The ball played forward by them. And Capio was waiting for his goalkeeper to come out and get it. He showed no inclination to do that, just backing off and backing off. Actually, Capio worked it back for Kovac, and Tar will bring it forward. 2-0 to Atalanta. Now we're in the 3rd minute of the second half here on Talksport 2.
What they've tended to do, actually, Atalanta, is allow Granit Xhaka to have the ball. So they allow it to go into him, which usually then teams will press Leverkusen. He pops it off and then it goes into the likes of Wirtz, but they're leaving Xhaka generally to have it, but then being really, really tight on those players that the ball goes into.
So 3 minutes into the second half, Atalanta leading by 2-0. And having said that, there hasn't been a Leverkusen change. There has. Boniface is on, and he has replaced Stanisic. So there's been a shuffle around as far as they're concerned as well. Boniface coming on. Stanisic, who was playing at right wing back, is the man that has been replaced. There's Atalanta running into that area now with Ademola Lookman trying to play it forward. It's just bobbled back his way. Volley clear on the edge of the penalty area. Brought down. Referee takes evasive action. A crossfield Atalanta pass that he literally had to fall out of the way of. Wirtz is able to bring the ball forward, and then Koopmeiners does a fantastic job. Comes back and dispossesses him and runs in an arcing manner through the midfield. Gets himself into a position to hit in a left-footed cross, and it's been slid away and put out by Nkapie for a corner. Vital from Nkapie to be in the position that he was, which was between Scamacca and Ketelaere. Scamacca just stopped his run instead of sprinting towards the near post. If he had done, it would have just been a tap-in. So Lookman will come across to take this corner. Ketelaere has got Nkapie's arms around him on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee just goes across and has a word. Jim City, the Atalanta captain, the Albanian international, not happy with the physical approach of the Bayer Leverkusen defenders here. Scamacca for a moment was unmarked. In comes the corner. Boniface is back to head that away. I think that's his first touch since coming on. Goes back out towards Lookman. Lookman to Jim City. The Ketelaere showing him where he wanted the ball to be played. And instead he tried to rifle it across the edge of the 6-yard box, and it was blocked. He's now retreated and lost possession on the touchline. And a chance for Leverkusen to work it forward quickly. Frimpong, was he given a little shove there by Edison? The referee, I think, has found in Leverkusen's favour. He might have given a corner. He has. No foul. He'd do well to recover in the nick of time, Edison. Sneaky pace, Edison. It's a good foot race, that, between Edison and Frimpong. I thought Frimpong would easily win that. No, Edison has got that under the bonnet. First corner of the second half for Leverkusen. Swung it towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Tam met it, but it wasn't a really decent touch. And Atalanta whack it away from the edge of their own penalty area. It was Ruggieri that cleared his lines emphatically. And it goes out of play for a throw. Throw taken by Palacios, who then was caught off the ball, having received the pass back from the throw. He laid it off through the midfield, and Zappacosta again doing what he does so well, just giving the little naughty niggly ones away. Free kick. Just racking them up, aren't they, Atalanta, in terms of those fouls that, again, talk about don't get you a yellow card, they stop the play and just keeps it in the mind of the attacker. So free kick to be taken a yard in from the left-hand touchline. It's another really poor delivery from Alejandro Grimaldo, the former Benfica man. Easily cleared. Headed on through the midfield by De Ketelaere. Out towards Lookman, the hero of the hour for Atalanta, with his 2 goals in the first half, which have given them a not unassailable lead, but a very impressive advantage. Have incidentally been 4 separate occasions this season where Leverkusen have protected their unbeaten run by coming from 2 goals down in games to find equalisers. They need that to happen again tonight. Zappacosta in towards Koopmeiners. De Ketelaere taking it, trying to work it down the right-hand side of the penalty area from Jim City, who made an overlapping run forward from centre-half. It's cleared and put out of play for a throw that Grimaldo will take for Leverkusen. 2-0 to Atalanta. Yeah, it's one of the only poor passes, actually, that De Ketelaere has made. And they'll come forward again, will Bayer Leverkusen. And again, they don't get too far. Easily mopped up on the edge of the penalty area by Edison, who's covering a lot of ground at the moment. Has to do that the way that the licence is given to Jim City to make his way forward. Another free kick goes Leverkusen's way. It's the 12th time that they've won a free kick. Adley is in a wider position now that Boniface has come on. Playing it for Palacios, looking for Boniface, and it's clear. Ball brought down in the midfield. De Ketelaere is in there. All got a little bit scrappy. Scamacca losing out to a very well-timed sliding challenge from Nkapie. The referee again has to get out of the way. Wirtz can receive the ball. Taps over to his right-hand side. Now an opportunity for Frimpong. He's in the penalty area. Plenty back with him. Goes back for Tapsoba. Here's Granit Xhaka. Nkapie couldn't get himself into a shooting position, but he can work it down the line for Grimaldo and then win a corner as Decatur Lara comes back to block his cross.
That all started because Nkapie made a brilliant challenge, more aggression from Leverkusen already in this second half, and then they can play. They certainly can. Lovely, patient play down the left-hand side.
Corner is taken short, and when Wirtz eventually fires in across, it hits Koopmeiners and goes out of play. Romano coming across to take the throw. Spanish international working the ball back. Granit Xhaka taps over. Taps over the Burkina Faso international, trying to play the ball down the right-hand side of the penalty area and got it all wrong. It's drifted out of play. We've seen nearly 10 minutes of the second half. Any significant improvements as far as Alonso's concerned? We haven't seen Boniface get into the game as yet.
No, he hasn't, but I would definitely say that already he's making sure that Hien and Jim Citi, Scalvini are being occupied ultimately, and not just freely jumping out of their positions and pressing. And Wirtz just getting a little bit more joy, and their intensity's been much better. The physicality's been better as well by Leverkusen. That had to be upped in this second half.
Askamaka has just mistimed his jump and the arms were flailing. He caught Nkapie just round the side of the face. Gone down holding his throat. There will be a free kick to Bayer Leverkusen. Nkapie's all right. Just a little bit stunned by that, I think, but he's back on his feet. He's going to be able to continue okay. 10 minutes into the second half here on Talksport 2. It's Atalanta against Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League final. It's live on Talksport 2 with Village Hotels. Visit villagehotels.com. Palacios playing the ball forward. It's giving chase, and it's beaten him, goes over the line and out of play for a goal kick. When you've scored as many late goals as Leverkusen have over the course of the season, you won't be unduly fazed by the situation that you find yourself in, albeit that it is such a showpiece event. Well, they know that they're capable of being able to work themselves back into positions. Atalanta making a change here. Decatur Lara has come off, and Pasalic, the one-time Chelsea player, has come on. Never actually made a senior appearance in his time at Chelsea, but he comes on now in the final. German-born midfielder, Croatian international, scored at Anfield earlier in this run. Now Leverkusen have it on halfway, trailing by 2-0.
I think just to maybe bolster the midfield, actually, as Leverkusen get into the game, and also it means he can switch freely with Koopmeiners, who can drift out to the right, and Pasalic can sit in there with Edison at times. They played that way at Anfield with Pasalic in the team.
What do you make of Decatur Lara's performance tonight?
I mean, look, you can tell he's got such wonderful technique and sort of glides with the ball. And he had that opportunity, didn't he, where he drifted inside with the left foot. But maybe, just maybe in this second half, when they need a bit more defensive structure, he was a bit weak in that sense.
Taps over, works the ball to Frimpong. Palacios waiting for it. Gets it from Granit Xhaka. Xhaka just turns away. You can almost see his brain working behind his eyes, looking to try and size up the right pass to play. Possession still very much in Leverkusen's favour. That's 60-40. Ball headed away, and then on through the midfield by Palacios, in towards Boniface, the top scorer with 21 goals in 33 games this season. And then Wirtz is fouled, and Leverkusen have a free kick about 25 yards outside the penalty area. It was Scalvini that just trod on his toes.
Yeah, it's past the foul parcel, isn't it, for Atalanta? It's never the same person twice in a row.
Oh, they do it very well. Here's Wirtz in towards Boniface, and it rolled past him. Will be picked up on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Cross flashed in, and then it was just half cleared out towards Frimpong near the penalty spot. He hit a first-time instinctive left foot volley well over the bar.
Yeah, just flashes it across, doesn't he? Adley. And Musso thinks he's doing the right thing with getting a paw to it, but actually it goes straight to Frimpong, but he was stretching. He maybe would have been better to try and just take that down and kill the ball. Instead, he tries to swivel and volley and got it wrong.
Boniface involved in the action there, a player that has scored in his last 3 games. And in 4 of his last 5 Europa League appearances, he actually didn't play in either leg of the semi-final. He's been struggling with a groin problem for much of the last 4 or 5 months. He's only made 3 starts since December. There's a byproduct of that. There was a poor challenge on Adley. Zappacosta's going to get a yellow card for that, a long overdue yellow card. It's been in the post for a while. The referee just waited for a moment to see if there was any advantage, because Nkapie made a really good run steaming down the left. Adley just nudged it past Zappacosta and mistimed his challenge. There was no advantage. Play's been pulled back for the free kick, and Zappacosta's in the book.
Yeah, he can't believe that he's nearly got to an hour without one. No getting away from that. Really did dive in there.
So the free kick comes in from Grimaldo. Scalvini heads it away. Back out towards Granit Xhaka on the right-hand touchline for Bayer Leverkusen. He finds Palacios. 2-0 Atalanta lead. We've played exactly an hour. And they've had this advantage since the 26th minute. Ademola Lookman scoring his second. Grimaldo coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area, nudging it one side of the Atalanta midfield. But the pitch quickly won it back. High ball fired out towards Lookman, battling with Granit Xhaka. And Xhaka has been judged the guilty party there, just leaning into Lookman, who had his right hand cupped around Lookman's left arm as the ball beat the pair of them, and that stopped Lookman being able to sprint after it. And the free kick's gone Atalanta's way. 61 on the clock, 2-0, they lead.
Just tried to hide it, didn't he, Xhaka? Lookman's arm, that is, that he was pulling into his chest. But we're seeing a different side at the moment to Atalanta. They're not pressing high as they were in the first half. They're accepting that the tempo's been upped by Leverkusen. They're sitting in a good shape. That's lovely from Lookman, though.
Yeah, nudged it round the corner. Didn't get a decent fist of getting on the end of the return ball from Ederson, which was a poor one. Tapsoba back for Jonathan Tah at the heart of the defence. He was off balance. Atalanta then in the position to try and work it forward quickly for the run of coke miners, but it was overhit. Gasparini not happy with that. Turns away in dismay. Ball has gone out of play for a goal kick, which will be taken by Leverkusen, who have scored in each of their last 23 games and in 50 of the 51 this season. Another good press from Atalanta, winning the ball back on the edge of the D, and then Leverkusen in turn getting it back. Eventually Koch Miners has given a free kick away. It's heart in mouth stuff, some of this Leverkusen attempting to play through the press.
It is, yeah, desperate to get it into Granit Xhaka. He is definitely the orchestra of this Leverkusen midfield, and looking forwards, and they're just pouncing when they can. And actually, Scamacca, a mistake just slipping at the vital moment, otherwise they could have taken advantage of it.
Now Yen coming towards the ball was just given a little nudge under the flight of it by Adley. And the referee decided that was more than a legitimate shoulder-to-shoulder. And Atalanta win a free kick, which is played forward quickly in towards Scamacca and cleared. Brought down then by Koch Miners, who himself thought he was brought down. The referee says no foul by Xhaka. Leverkusen on the front foot quickly, working to the left-hand side of the penalty area. And here's Boniface. Oh, good turn inside the box. Not a good pass. And Ederson's there to knock it away.
Yeah, good positioning from Ederson. Boniface not sure of the pass. Ederson, that's 3 times now already in the second half that he's made a vital interception.
Xhaka playing it out of the right-hand side of the penalty area. And it's clipped in deep towards Grimaldo. Goalkeeper's come out. It's a really good play. There was a collision between Musso and Grimaldo, who only had his eyes on the ball. Musso coming out, got his hands to it, and then clutched the ball at the second attempt, but was hurt in doing so and might need a little bit of treatment here.
Yeah. Right decision in the end from Grimaldo, just to pull out at the last second. When you see a giant orange goalkeeper coming towards you and it's a 50-50, I'd tend to get out the way, because they will use arms, elbows, knees to protect themselves. Grimaldo just diving out of the way at the last second.
They saw him coming. I think the contact, such as it was between the two players, was slight, with the shoulder of Grimaldo maybe just nudging Musso off balance. So when he came down, he did very well to catch the ball and after the bounce, but it was a heavy fall that he took. He couldn't really brace himself, and that's what's caused the problem. But it was a point that was made by our European expert here on Talksport 2 earlier, Kevin Hatchard, that two goalkeepers that we're seeing today aren't necessarily first choice. It wouldn't be the end of the world if either of them went off. They do have a very able replacement on the bench, Marko Karasecki, whilst Lukas Hradecki, the Finnish international captain, is Bayer Leverkusen's substitute goalkeeper, a man who's kept clean sheets in nearly half his games this season. Has only led in 24 in 34, so wouldn't be the end of the world today as much as it often is in a showpiece final if a goalkeeper got injured. Here's the man that's winning it at the moment for Atalanta, Ademola Lookman, and he plays it down towards the left-hand touchline. Ruggieri is there, the wing-back, coming back down the touchline away from the edge of the penalty area, works the ball through the midfield. So much of Atalanta's play going through Coat Miners, just sticking his foot on the ball and picking a pass. Now worked out towards the right-hand side for Zappacosta, whose cross is blocked, but out of play for a throw rather than the corner. The throw that Zappacosta himself will take. But Leverkusen are nearly midway through the second half. Not too many signs of a way back in as yet.
No, and they've been so good, Atalanta, when they have pressed. They've never just let one player do it on his own. Once one has gone, then two and three have gone to help. It's so important. You can see it with teams that don't do it very well. A single player goes and presses, it gets bypassed him, he turns round as if to say, where's my help? Not in this Atalanta team.
Leverkusen desperately trying to play their way out of trouble in the left-back position, haven't been able to do it. Eventually it'll be hoiked away by Incapio on the edge of his own penalty area and out for a throw. And possession again goes Atalanta's way, midway inside the Bayer Leverkusen half. They are 25 minutes away. Only competition they've ever won in their history. Coppa Italia back in the 62-63 season. Would be the night of nights for Atalanta if they can hold on here. Scalvini doing well in the midfield. The substitute reading a ball that was played between the lines, and then Lookman with a clever little shimmy and turn gets the better of Tapsoba, who's fouled it and will be booked.
Again, first of all, he's in their heads, Lookman, with what he did in the first half. Xhaka doesn't want to go anywhere near him anymore. Tapsoba there thinks he's got him and then just dives in, grabs him. What a game he's having.
.67 gone with Talksport 2. This time next week, the Europa Conference League final, Olympiacos against Fiorentina. Tonight, Atalanta in the box seat to lift European silverware. High ball inside this penalty area, looking for Rien, and clear. Out of play for a throw that will be an Atalanta ball on the right flank. This weekend, 2 Wembley showpiece events for you over on Talksport. Manchester Derby in the FA Cup final. Again, that's Saturday. And then on Sundays, Leeds, Southampton for a place in the Premier League. A Leverkusen change. Palacios is going to be replaced by Andrik, which was a change that we were advocating at half-time. They're also going to be bringing Klozek on, and he'll replace Grimaldo, who's just not been at his best tonight.
Amazing, isn't it? Really. Talking before the game about all the qualities that Grimaldo has. It was a big chance that he missed, though. We might look back at that at the end of this game and know how big it was.
Here's Boniface, just over 20 minutes to go. Leverkusen needing 2 to take this to extra time. Ball rolling just across the flight path of Andrik. He's able to pick it up now. Scored an excellent goal at the weekend with a cheeky backheel flick from about 15 yards out. Nkapie down towards the left-hand touchline. Adley, who's been out there in the second half after Boniface came on. Tar to Xhaka. Xhaka playing it forward, well blocked by Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners then in an aerial challenge against Tar, but he was able to mop up and get it back to his goalkeeper, and they'll play out from the back again. But time is running out pretty quickly. Just over 20 to go. 2-0 Atalanta leading. Ball pumped forward, easily dealt with by Jimcity. Straight to Lookman. And Lookman running it taps over again. Couldn't beat him that time. But Andrik came across to tag team. And between them, they're able to deal with Ademola Lookman, who's had so much joy down that left-hand side. Now, Koopmeiners is going to get himself a yellow card as Wirtz ran past him. Koopmeiners stuck an arm out, pulled him back, and he too is booked.
Yeah, he just checked the Atalanta black book to check that he hadn't had a yellow and knew he could take one. Pass it round, lads.
So that's 4 of them in the book now. Who's next? Probably should be able to work it out, to be fair. Here's Zappacosta. It won't be him, or if it is, he's off. Ball goes out towards the left for Lookman again. Lookman will drive it away from Scamacca and also away from Legere chasing forward. It goes out of play for a throw, and looks frustrated at his inability to play the pass that he wanted.
I mean, I say it in jest, the yellow cards and the fouls, but ultimately that is the tactic. It's a great tactic against this Leverkusen side. If you let them get into a flow, their passing, their possession-based football is so good, and if you allow them to play through you, they will hurt you, and they've just stopped that because of the fouls and accepted that you'll take a yellow card, and it's really worked.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be Pasalic next, but we'll see. The ball is on the left for Leverkusen. Worked back by Adley. Turned over the top. Jimcity. There's a collision between him and one of the Leverkusen players. Ball worked back to the goalkeeper. Only just got it away in time, Musso. He took a touch and then realised in the nick of time that he was barely going to have time for a second touch. He did just get it forward, but that was dangerous.
I mean, the acceleration from Frimpong was unbelievable. I don't even think Musso was ready for it.
Xhaka coming in off the left flank is Adley. Jimcity knocking that one away. Only as far as Tar. Leverkusen possession now is in slightly more advanced areas. Ball worked back by Nkapie. Wirtz taking it on, trying to win a throw. Couldn't quite do that. Scalvini under pressure has done brilliantly. Drags the ball with his right foot down the line. That's just majestic play to get out from the back there. His ball forward wasn't great. He's trying to play it in towards Scamacca, who went to ground, and Leverkusen have won it back. But just with ease, he just waltzed his way past 2 pressing Leverkusen players. It was a magnificent play by Scalvini. What a future he has got.
Well, and again, it just shows the physicality and the difference there, because Scalvini has just pushed Nkapie and Wirtz aside like a couple of peas round a plate. He just then jinked down the side, and then shows the quality then of a big centre-back just to try and play the ball out. And you look at the Leverkusen faces, and you can sense it in these finals when it's just not going your way, and every free kick or every misplaced pass, it's just etched on their face that it's going away from them. But they've got to try and dig into and tap into all of those times this season when they've come back.
Yellow card there for Andrik for kicking the ball away for Leverkusen, so that's 7 yellow cards now. 4 for Atalanta, 3 for the German champions. Even in the context of their heroic comebacks over the course of this extraordinary season, this will be one of the best in the context of the game if they can come back now. 2 down, 16 minutes to go. Wirtz playing it forward. Boniface in space, one in the pass. It's bounced off Adley, takes a touch inside the penalty area, and Koopmeiners is back there to clear. Clearance which falls onto the head of Granit Xhaka, not the best header from him. Boniface going up for it, mistimed the battle with Scamacca. Loose ball ricochet down towards the touchline, and Boniface picked that up easily enough. Mandrick can work it forward. Lookman read the pass. Ederson able to win it back. Lookman slowly getting back to his feet. Ederson continuing his run forward. Scamacca trying to chip one over the top. Mandrick did well then to knock it away with a vital interception to get it away from Pasalic. Game, just for a moment, pretty stretched. Now it'll all condense. Constantine back towards the edge of the Atalanta penalty area again. Adley brings it forward. Lays it off to Xhaka and then gets it back again. Then winger wearing 21, trying to play it forward. Pasalic winning it back. Space in the midfield for Atalanta. They score again. You feel it's all over. Scamacca coming forward. Here's Lookman on a hat-trick. Edge of the penalty area. Taking on Tapsoba. And firing in. A hat-trick for Ademola Lookman in a European final. He nods and takes the acclaim. He is the hero of Atalanta. He has broken Bayer Leverkusen hearts. It's a hat-trick of the highest quality against opposition of the highest quality. And surely now this will be a bridge too far for Bayer Leverkusen. They're going to be beaten at the 52nd time of asking this season. And the Europa League seems destined to be going back to Italy. Brilliant finish from Lookman. The first player ever to score a hat-trick in a one-off final in this competition. A magnificent strike fired into the top right-hand corner. Almost broke the net. And it does break Leverkusen hearts.
Ademola Lookman, as you should, absorb all the acclaim and the adulation, because you've just something that only very, very few can let alone dream of, but actually produce a hat-trick in a European final. And what a goal it was. Scamacca, brilliant hold-up play, looked left and looked right. He saw that Lookman was free, played it across to him. And I've got to say, Tapsoba, that was pretty embarrassing defending. He just sat off him. It was a little right foot step over from Lookman, dragged it onto his left foot, and then arrowed it into the top right-hand corner. What a performance from Ademola Lookman.
It's the first hat-trick of his career. And he's done it against a team who haven't been beaten in just a few days short of a year in a European final. A stunning story. 3-0 to Atalanta. And this will be the best recovery of the lot for Leverkusen. They've scored 144 goals this season. 34 of those have come in the last 10 minutes of games. But they need 3 in 12 minutes plus stoppage time here. So, say 17 minutes, 18 minutes of play. They've got to score 3 unanswered goals just to get this to extra time. And the Atalanta supporters, far more of them remember time in the 3rd division than when they last won a trophy. But this is going to be their night.
I mean, they don't even look like scoring, Leverkusen. That's the issue. To get back into the game, you have to be knocking on the door. You have to be putting pressure on. But they've been scared, and Tapsoba in particular. I couldn't believe that he stood off the way he did, Lookman. He allowed him just to manipulate the ball. He didn't get close to him. He allowed him the strike. And boy, did he finish it.
Pasalic bringing the ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area there, hungry for more. Scamacca on the right-hand side of the box, laying it back. Here's Zappacosta. Atalanta 3 up, looking for a fourth. Right-footed effort, comfortably saved. Just didn't get hold of it, Edison.
I can't believe the Pasalic didn't play it to Lookman. Skamaka made a great run and took both of the defenders away. Lookman was free, had to play it to him. Instead reversed it to Skamaka, who wasn't ready.
Opportunity to bring the ball forward. Oh, Lookman just for a moment having nudged it past Tapsoba. Thought he was in again, but Jonathan Tah was there to be able to mop up.
Is Tapsoba okay? Honestly, it's really odd, his body language. Even there, just wasn't ready at all for Lookman to take the touch.
Adley trying to start the Leverkusen fight back. Wirtz with a shot. Musso with a comfortable save. Just had to take half a step to his right, bring the ball into his midriff, and he leans down. He just gives the ball a subtle little kiss as he prepares to get the ball back upfield again. 11 to go in the Europa League final. Atalanta 3, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Schick and Teller are going to be coming on. 10 minutes to try and salvage this for Bayer Leverkusen, bringing a couple of forwards on.
Oh, you may as well. You may as well at this point really go for it and hope that just something absolutely incredible, a miracle happens.
Well, Florian Wirtz is the first player to make way, and he'll be replaced by Patrick Schick, who scored 5 Europa League goals this season, but none of them in his last 3 ties. He did get a couple in stoppage time against Karabag when they were 2-1 down and going out, and he scored in the 93rd and 98th minutes of those games. So Xabi Alonso will be hoping that the muscle memory is such that he believes that he's got late goals in him here. Nathan Teller, the former Burnley and Southampton man, is on as well. 9 minutes to go. And Leverkusen need a miracle. It has been a miraculous season for them, but they need a miracle here. Atalanta coming forward again. Another shot comes in from Skamaka. He had a couple of options to his right-hand side, but went for glory. Goalkeeper making a comfortable save. Kovac bowling it out quickly and getting it forward towards Granit Xhaka. Xhaka's got it in the midfield down towards Nkapie. Nkapie stands on the ball to stop it. Adley takes over. Adley with a quick little 1-2 with Xhaka back in the midfield again. Xhaka destined to be on the losing side in the final of this competition for a second season after being part of the Arsenal side that lost 4-1 to Chelsea back in 2019. Here's Tapsoba, he's done well. Teller getting it in. Schick trying to improvise near post. A little backheel flick, it comes off Jim City and it's gone out for a corner.
Yes, good job though. Jim City got himself back into position. Good ball in from Teller from the right-hand side, flat along the floor. Schick just trying to do that clever Cruyff flick into the far corner. Jim City right behind him, flicked up and over off him.
Leverkusen's third corner of the second half. The fourth of the game. Atalanta have won 2. Left-footed in swinger, very, very deep towards the far post and nodded wide. Boniface coming in there, he was off balance by the time the ball got to him. And he's just headed it wide at the side netting, out of play. Xabi Alonso's body language suggests that he knows that this is not going to be their night. Atalanta poised to make a double change themselves, and they're going to be bringing Hans Hateboer on, and we're also going to be seeing Elbelau Toure. Zappacosta coming off, and Skamaka is the other player to make way. So Toure will replace Skamaka up front. Elbelau Toure, who signed from Almeria last summer, the Malian international, came off the bench to score in the second leg of the semi-final against Marseille. And Hans Hateboer on for his 250th Atalanta appearance, the Dutch wing-back, and that'll be a straight swap replacing Zappacosta. Dean Ashton.
Yeah, just freshness, that's all it is. Just making sure that you've got that freshness in an area that you feel might be needed. But what's so difficult is for these Leverkusen players is you know that pretty much it's gone. you've got to hope that something happens, but can you pull yourselves together to have that push? So difficult.
Ball chipped through the midfield, and Hateboer involved in the action straight away, chesting it down on halfway, volleying it forward, and then a really poor back pass that Jonathan Tah has got away with. There's an immediate ingress as Kovac told him that there's a lack of concentration there. Xabi Alonso not happy. They just haven't been able to reach their standards tonight. It's not just a question of the defeat, it's the manner of the defeat. It's like it's all caught up with them over the space of 48 hours.
Yeah, absolutely right. But let's give a huge amount of credit to Gasperini. The setup, the pressing, absolutely outstanding. The tactical fouls, just the physicality. They bullied Leverkusen right from the start, and I think he's got it right. And ultimately, I'm not sure Xabi Alonso did with that, especially with that front three in that first half.
Haven't mathematically secured their place in the Champions League for next season, although they will. They only need 1 point from the final 2 games, but now they don't even need that. So they win the Europa League, they'll be guaranteed a place in the Champions League next season. One of the Italian representatives. Serie A gets 5. Ball on the edge of the penalty area with Leverkusen. They try and get back into it. Teller deflected, put away for a corner. More good defending. And high fives all round. It was well played by Ruggieri. He read it well, got his right foot out, stretched it, and stuck the ball away from Nathan Teller's cross, out of play for another corner.
And this is where Atalanta's senses are heightened defensively. Every single player focused.
Another left-footed in-swinging delivery, and another good header away by Yen. He's played well tonight. The ball cleared by Ruggieri. Down towards Torre. He's claiming that he was pushed to the ground as he tried to flick it with almost a scorpion kick and flick the ball that was behind him over his shoulders and head. It's gone out of play for a throw that'll be taken quickly by Nkapie on the Leverkusen left. 4 minutes of normal time to go. 3-0 to Atalanta, who are going to be victorious tonight. Leverkusen beaten 18 times last season in all competitions. Worth repeating that when Xabi Alonso took over, they were second bottom the Bundesliga table. That was just over 18 months ago, the back end of October 2022. So everything they've achieved has been nothing short of miraculous. They were always going to lose at some stage, although many observers didn't think it would be this season. It's not the time or the place or the manner for that defeat to come. Pasalic heading it on in the midfield. It'd be brought down by Jonathan Tah. Talk about the 34 goals that they've scored in the last 10 minutes of games. Half of those, exactly half, 17, have come in stoppage time. But they need 3 in 3 minutes plus stoppage time tonight, just to take it to extra time.
And ultimately, I think it's why it's so difficult as well to win doubles and to win trebles. It's in such a short space of time. Not only the physicality of it, but the emotion of it all for these players. Such a quick turnaround, it feels.
Here's Nkapie. Left-footed ball in from him towards the penalty spot, volleyed away by Scalvini. Xabi Alonso knows all about coming back to win European finals when you're 3-0 down, but this would eclipse that. The miracle of Istanbul would have nothing on this if they can sort it out from here by Leverkusen with now just over 2 minutes to go. Lookman, it's another brilliant little back-heel dragged nutmeg of Tapsoba. And the subsequent ball that was flashed for by Ruggieri was over here. Well, whatever highlights reel he's ever had in his career, Ademola Lookman, he can bin it. Because all he's got to do is just hand them a replay of this final. 3 goals, but just incisive play all around it as well. He's had the night of his life.
I mean, what this could do to his career in terms of just inner belief, to be honest, that you're able to raise your game to this level for a final of this magnitude.
Teller trying to get the ball inside the penalty area. It's cleared. All hands to the pump defensively now, as you would expect for Atalanta. Not that Bayer Leverkusen are throwing too much to them, but they're just keeping everybody apart from Toure back behind the ball. Andrick picking up possession and coming down towards the left-hand touchline. Lays it off for Adley. Adley making his way forward, showing for the return ball. Getting it, trying to get a shot in, it was blocked. Came straight back to him. Klozek's been quiet since coming on. He plays it to his right. Now chipped over the top by Granit Xhaka. Two Atalanta players go for the same ball. That could be a penalty. Referee says no. I think it was Klozek who was making the run, trying to get on the end of the loose ball inside the penalty area, and the referee was very well placed and just waved a finger and said no penalty. Meanwhile, Atalanta get it forward here. Pasalic out to the left-hand side. It's Toure. Toure going for goal. Right-footed effort deflects high up in the air. He could have got across the Hatterbar on the right-hand side of the penalty area. He would have been in. And only now does the offside flag come up. It is a free kick which will be taken by Leverkusen on the edge of their box. And we're about to go into stoppage time. It's just 3-0.
It just felt as if Klozek has been really dramatic. His arms up in the air as he tried to get the opposite side of Scalvini. It's just whether Scalvini had a little pull of the shirt or not. But it seemed dramatic.
Well, Paul van Berkel has asked for a delay in the restart because they're having a look at it, and they've had a long look at it. Whether Scalvini, in trying to get the ball, has just kicked up and into the inner thigh of the Leverkusen player. Check is over, and it is no penalty. So chance for another Atalanta change, and Ruggieri comes off, and he's going to be replaced for the closing moments by Rafael Toloi, fine servant of Atalanta, coming on for his first appearance in continental football since November. He's not too far short of 300 games for Atalanta, and Gasperini can afford himself a massive grin as he embraces Ruggieri as he comes off. We're in 4 minutes of added time. Now those 4 minutes start with a throw which will be taken over on the Atalanta left-hand side. The party already started in the Atalanta end, as you can well imagine. Leverkusen fans have long accepted their fate. Beaten and beaten in style by a classy Atalanta performance tonight.
He's got it absolutely spot on. Gasperini and his players have executed it. Yes, some finals can be really tight. This hasn't been one of them. In the end, it's been really, really comfortable for Atalanta.
Chance for a consolation. Klozek flashing a shot in from distance and some way wide. Goes out of play for a goal kick. This a final that ordinarily is tight. I mean, the last three of them have gone to penalties. I think the last 4 or 5 in total have gone to extra time. So they tend to be really tight. This one, far, far from it. The biggest win in a final has been 4-0 when Sevilla beat Middlesbrough back in 2006. It's the second biggest margin of victory for a Europa League final, if it stays this way, and it looks as though it will, with just 90 seconds or so of stoppage time to go. Will be a little bit of time added on because of the Atalanta change. Attabor taking the throw on the right-hand touchline. Adley's there. The Atalanta supporters have their blue scarves above their head now. And Gasperini's got a big grin. He's trying to hide it a little, but he's not succeeding. What a moment this is for him. What a moment for the club, but what a moment for Gasperini. He made his name in 2 spells in charge of Genoa. He once had a ill-fated 5-match reign at Inter Milan. But this will be his 200th victory as Atalanta head coach. And it'll be the night that he never forgets. It'll also be the night Ademola Lookman never forgets. He's just got a bruise for his pains now. Just caught there by Andrick. And it'll be a free kick to Atalanta, who are going to win this and win it to 0 as well, Dean.
Gasperini now starting to dance with the substitutes and his staff. They know what they've achieved here.
He's got the moves. He's no Alan Pardew, but he's got the moves. The ball on the left-hand side of the penalty area for Boniface. Right-footed effort blocked. Closet couldn't get it out from underneath his feet to get a shot in. Atalanta whack it upfield, and Lookman will make his way forward. Just picks up possession. No thought of a fourth goal for Atalanta. Lays the ball back, and that is that. Bayer Leverkusen have had one of the most remarkable seasons of any club ever. But their unbeaten streak comes to an end at 51. Ademola Lookman, the young English-born Nigerian winger, scores a hat-trick. The first in a final of this competition. He's mobbed by his teammates. It's a remarkable achievement. Bayer Leverkusen haven't lost all season, but they have been thumped in style in the Europa League final. An absolutely magnificent performance from Atalanta. Lookman gets the bumps. He's the hero. A moment, a night he will never forget. Bayer Leverkusen's unbeaten run, which lasted 12 months, as near as makes no difference, has come to an end. No more thoughts of the invincible treble for them, because this is Atalanta's night. No Italian sides ever previously won the Europa League, but they have done it, and they've done it in style. Atalanta beating the seemingly impregnable Bayer Leverkusen by 3-0.
And Lookman, the hero, massive smile on his face as well. Let's remember, this kid didn't really come through the normal way, didn't go through a club academy, was playing Sunday League football when Charlton spotted him, and then the rest is history. And actually, it's not always been a glorious history for Ademola Lookman. Charlton, fantastic. Made his debut at 18, scored goals, earned a big move. Everton, it just didn't work out. And speaking to people at Everton at the time, they didn't really believe that he was going to go on to do anything. Fulham, all you remember is that penalty at West Ham. That was a nightmare. Scott Parker absolutely crucified him for that penalty. And then he goes off to Europe. Fair play to him, does well at Leipzig. And now at Atalanta, he's only gone and made history. And Dean Ashton, all 3 goals were fantastic, but that hat-trick goal, the finish was so perfect.
It was stunning, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, you've got to be allowed the space. Lovely little right foot step over onto his left foot, and showing that left or right, it clearly doesn't matter to Lookman. It's just a magnificent strike. The power, the accuracy, just flashes past Kovac, and he can get nowhere near it. I mean, what a performance, eh? You dream of it as a kid. That's what you do in the garden, is you dream of scoring a hat-trick in a final. And he's done it. I mean, and the way he's done it with the goals that he scored, I mean, he looks like tonight he could have played for any team at any level ever.
He certainly looks like he could have played for England, even though we've got a load of players in his position. But you know what? Talent always comes to the fore eventually. And over the years, it's fair to say he hasn't shown that talent. He hasn't shown what he's capable of. We've seen him in the Premier League, Dean, and we wouldn't have come away from those games thinking, oh, I'll tell you what he's going to do. One day he's going to be a big star in a European final. You know, he's actually going to score a hat-trick in a European final. Not at any point in his career so far would we have thought that. But what we have thought is, this is a talented footballer, and now we're seeing that he's shown that talent on the big stage.
He has, and look, we've said that about many players over the years, Aid, and not all of them can go on to have a terrific career. And what he has done is he's made the decision that England maybe wasn't right for him, and I've got to go somewhere else to build my career. And what he's found is he's found a manager in Gasperini that believes in him, that knows the best way to play him and to get the best out of him, and he's thrived because of it. He's not in the starting 11 every single week for Gasperini, but what he has got is a huge amount of talent, and it takes a special player to be able to produce that when the pressure is at its most in a final. And he didn't look like it was a final. He played it as if it was just a casual game with his mates. The second 2 goals were just like he was having fun. And that's when football is beautiful, is when somebody makes it look so easy.
Yeah, he was like that Sunday League kid again, all over again, and he's got it done, Kev Hatchard, and it's just seeing the way the Atalanta players are celebrating with their fans. They've lost enough finals in the past, and now they've finally nailed one.
They have, and this is fully deserved, and this is about not just this team, this is about all the teams that Gasparini's had at Atalanta. This is for guys like Papu Gomez, this is for guys like Josip Ilicic, guys who have really contributed to this journey. Robin Gosens, another one. You know, guys who aren't there anymore, but contributed to the growth of this team, qualifying for the Champions League on numerous occasions, bringing in cash to allow them to keep investing in the team, to keep finding young talents. And this is also a massive success, not just for Gasparini, but for Antonio Percassi as well, the club president. This is a guy that said, we always start the season hoping to avoid relegation. Where we are now is unthinkable. And it is. When Gasparini first arrived, there's a story that's done the rounds for years that he spoke to the players and said, write down what your expectation is for this first season. Almost all of them wrote avoid relegation. And he's changed that mindset. They've never finished lower than 8th in the 8 years that he's been the coach. I mean, that is utterly remarkable. And he has squeezed every drop of potential out of that squad. And Ademola Lookman tonight, the perfect example of that.
Yeah, and another qualification for Champions League, which they probably would have done through the league anyway, but they've done it through winning the Europa League. And let's talk about Gasparini, 66 years of age.
Yeah.
Was his 8th or 9th club? Well, you'll have to tell me, but he's had a lot of clubs, and he's finally found a home where he keeps getting things right with Atalanta, but without nailing that trophy. This is a just reward for this coach after so many years of what has to be success at Atalanta.
Well, when he got to Atalanta, you got the sense they needed him as much as he needed them. He did need this to work because he'd had a really horrible time at Palermo where he'd been sacked, rehired 20 days later, sacked again. He'd had the spell at Inter that went really badly wrong, where he wasn't backed, and that really stung him, I think, how badly that went, trying to replace Mourinho, which was impossible after Mourinho had won the treble and gone to Real Madrid. So, you know, he was starting again, and he took over a club that didn't have high expectations. He set standards throughout. You know, he comes across as, you know, quite a cuddly, smiley figure. He's not. He's tough. And there are players who he's worked with for years, who he's fallen out with. Papu Gomez, the greatest example of that. They really fell out and suddenly he was out. Zapata was there for a while, then he was out. Luis Muriel has been let go. He always finds a way to refresh the team. Rasmus Højlund, a penny for his thoughts, because he was at the club, he's moved on. Manchester United hasn't gone so well. Obviously, he's a young player and he'll grow, but he's found a way. They brought in El Bilal Touré. He had a hamstring injury, kept him out for most of the season, but he's come good towards the end of the campaign. So he's managed to create a framework within which these players thrive.
Kev, Leverkusen weren't themselves tonight at all, were they?
No, they weren't. I think the team selection will draw some questions, and I think that's fair. I think the lack of a physical presence in the front line was the real problem, because it meant that they couldn't really establish themselves early on. They couldn't get that control. I thought Atalanta bullied them, really. They were too strong for them, too physical for them, too cute for them in some of those challenges that went unnoticed maybe by the referee. That's what they do. And I think they never really then got a grip of the game. They'll look at that second goal, and it was a bit of a horror show. Amin Adli with a loose header, they didn't react. Xhaka doesn't get tight quickly enough. Tapsoba doesn't come across quickly enough. But sometimes you have to admit that the better team won, and that absolutely happened tonight.
Yeah, Dean, I mean, listen, the only disappointment about it was it's so one-sided, but that's because Leverkusen just didn't compete, did they?
No, they didn't. I think the biggest compliment to Atalanta is that we never actually saw anywhere near the best of Leverkusen. I think that's because they were stopped. They were bullied by Atalanta, and it's rare to see a team be so much weaker physically than the opposition at this level, because you know so many players are such athletes these days. But in so many of the challenges, you know, just shoulder to shoulder or arms across, Atalanta were just so much stronger, and I don't think that was just in terms of their intensity and their aggression. I actually just think physically they were bigger and more powerful, and they made sure that they exerted that, and it must have been something that Gasperini must have talked about, because you could see it in pretty much every challenge. There was just a little bit left on every single time.
It's almost as if, just looking at the Bayer Leverkusen players, Dean, they don't know how to react because they've forgotten what losing's like.
Well, exactly, and because it's gone so smoothly, I know they've had some great comebacks, but you know, in a final, a European final, when you've been shocked and you're 2-0 down and you look around and there wasn't really a response, even in the second half, when you think, well, here we go, Leverkusen surely will up the intensity and the quality. They had one shot on target in the second half. They just never were able to lift themselves, whether that was because emotionally they've had a lot taken out of them because of the league, or because Atalanta were just too good.
That's a good point about the league that Dean makes, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't forget what an incredible job they've done, but we also shouldn't forget how close they've come to that unbeaten run being ended long before this. Karabakh, when they were 2-0 down in both legs, and had to come back. Stuttgart, they had to come back. Borussia Dortmund, final minute of stoppage time, they managed to get an equaliser. Even before that, away at Bayern, had to grab a late equaliser. So they've been
in the semi-final, yeah.
Absolutely. So they've been flirting with this all the way through. Does it mean they're not an amazing team? No. But does it mean that an excellent side who were at the top of their game, who physically completely overwhelmed them, that can happen? So it's, for me, there'll be questions about Leverkusen, but it's actually all about what Atalanta did to them.
Do you think that Kaiserslautern, who are their opponents in the German Cup final at the weekend, will be looking at themselves thinking, oh my goodness, we've got a problem now?
Yes, it'll be 5-0 instead of 2-0. I think they'll be thinking, because look,
there'll be a reaction.
They'll try and be physical, as Atalanta have been, but Leverkusen will bounce back.
They will. The Ireland manager, John O'Shea, has just brought out the Europa League trophy that will be handed over very shortly to Atalanta, the victors. Ademola Lookman with a hat-trick. Yes, Charlton, former Charlton, Everton, Fulham, Leicester winger Ademola Lookman with a hat-trick in a Europa League final. I don't think many of us predicted that. I think we might have thought he would play a part if they were to win, and he might even nick a goal, but a hat-trick, the first of his career, quite something. How long, Dean Ashton, will it take for Ademola Lookman to come down from this evening?
Never. Never, he won't, honestly. He'll turn around in 40 years' time and go, did that really happen? Did it? A hat-trick in a European final. I can't even imagine how amazing that must feel, because you've done something that will never be forgotten. You've done something that will go down in the history books, and that's what this wonderful sport can give certain individuals. And tonight he's been able to be that person, to have the moment that he'll never forget, that no one ever will let him forget, and he can dine out on it and milk it for all it's worth for the rest of his career, and so he should.
Yeah, I was going to say, rightly so, he should be doing that as well. I mean, the big smile on his face said it all, and for somebody who's had some low moments in his career, had some criticism in his career as well, and maybe his career path didn't go the way he thought it was going to go, I think it's a lovely story. And Jim was right in commentary. He doesn't need to put a demo reel together. It's just this game.
Well, hopefully it's a great lesson for any other young players or players currently playing, just to show that if it doesn't work somewhere, that, you have to change, you have to be proactive, you have to go and maybe find yourself somewhere else and test yourself somewhere else, and that you can get to the very top level if you believe in yourself and you've got the drive, which he clearly has. He wouldn't be in this position, he wouldn't have gone to Germany and to Italy if he didn't have drive and ambition. And so he should take the credit. He should be the one that takes the credit for getting himself there. He'll have had help along the way, but in a team sport, football can be very, very lonely at times, and he's been able to push himself, and he deserves that reward.
And it's not just a personal thing for him either. It's the fact that he's written himself into a club's folklore. I mean, this will never, ever be forgotten in Bergamo, by any Atalanta fan. He will always be the guy that delivered the Europa League for Atalanta and finally crowned that Gasperini era with a trophy. That is just an amazing legacy to leave. If he does nothing else positive for Atalanta, it wouldn't matter.
There's a lovely moment between Xabi Alonso, who's just getting his loser's medal now, and Gasperini. Basically, it looked like Gasperini was saying you've had a brilliant season, and Alonso said, well, you've had a brilliant night. And that's absolutely true. And very quickly on Bergamo itself, I mean, this is a big moment for that city because that's had some tough times in recent years.
Yeah, Bergamo was very much one of the hotspots in the early COVID pandemic, and it was a really, really horrible time there, and Atalanta have worked really hard as a club to try and forge that bond with fans and with people, with medical personnel who had to really go through incredibly tough times. So yeah, there's a real kind of emotional resonance, I think, about this success.
The officials have had their medals, Bayer Leverkusen their losers' medals. Atalanta, led by their head coach, are heading up to pick up winners' medals and the trophy, and we're going to hear that trophy lift with your commentator, Jim Proudfoot.
Well, Gasperini, who couldn't be accused of dressing for the occasion, has come forward first. When he sees the celebration photos in 10 years' time, he'll wish that he had a better pair of trousers on. But the medals are being handed out now. Ademola Lookman standing with the Man of the Match award and the match ball cradled under his left arm, looking proud as punch, and understandably so. It's an Atalanta side for whom this achievement is all the more special for the relative paucity of medals that they have between them up to this point in their career. It is the biggest night of Atalanta's history, a first ever European final, and it's brought one of the very finest performances of them all. Few willing them on tonight were even alive when the Orobici last won a major honour. Head coach Gianpiero Gasperini is one who was, but in his 67th year he's masterminded their very finest hour. Outsiders against a team on the verge of an unprecedented invincible treble who've swept all before them. The Leverkusen were brushed aside with a combination of presence, class and superior ringcraft. It was the night that proved to be a bridge too far in their pursuit of immortality, their unbeaten run ending at 51. But this is Atalanta's night, Ademola Lookman's night, the trophy delivered by his hat-trick, now presented to their captain. And Berojim City makes his way towards the rest of his players, the trophy in his hand, a ticker tape welcome. Ademola Lookman lifted to the skies almost with the ease of that trophy. What a night for him, one that he and his counterparts will never forget. An unexpected triumph, the first Italian side ever to win this competition, because Atalanta are the Europa League winners for 2024.
Well, it looks like their fans can't believe it. The celebrations will be wild, I'm sure, through the night, through well into the night in Dublin. What a place to have it as well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's going to be some evening of celebration for all those Italians there. And Dean Ashton just looking at Ademola Lookman with the ball under his arm. That's the trophy he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely it will. I mean, man of the match, match ball under the arm. He's not even interested in the trophy. He hasn't touched it yet. That's fantastic from him. But Gasperini, I mean, again, I can't talk highly enough of what a job he's done at Atalanta, and when all these managers' jobs are being bandied about, his name isn't always on that list, but he's masterminded an incredible final. Once again, he's got it absolutely right and shocked everyone.
Dean, thanks very much. We'll let the party get started. They're off to Temple Bar, I'm sure, very shortly. And there might be a few lock-ins tonight at some Italian restaurants. Kev, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Really enjoyed your company. 27th of May, 2023, a year and 5 days ago. That's the last time Bayer Leverkusen were beaten. But they weren't just beaten tonight. They were taken apart by Atalanta, who win their first trophy for 61 years. And the star was a Londoner, Ademola Lookman. 10 years ago last month, he was in a Sunday League 11 that rocked up to face Charlton's under-16 side. He was so good, Charlton took him on straight away. And now he's become the first player ever to score a hat-trick in a Europa League final. An English-born player has been the star of a Euro final. Let's hope I'm saying that on July the 14th as well. Sports Bar's next on Talksport. Here on Talksport 2, it's On Track with John Jackson.